What is going on, my brothers and sisters in Christ? I'm Nuclear Newt, and today I'm doing something just a little bit different. We're going to do our Get Scriptured Bible study, going through John chapter 18, but the gameplay you see in the background is not live like it usually is, but it's just background gameplay, and I'm recording this audio separately. This will allow me to play with a little bit of editing things, and who knows? We'll see what happens. But today, we're going to read John chapter 18. This, if you've been following along in the series, is right after the end of the Last Supper. Jesus told his disciples a lot of cool things. Then he prayed and said a lot of cool things. We went over all of that. And now it's time for the next thing. No spoilers. We're just going to dive into it. But first, prayer. God, thank you for today. Thank you for your word as laid out here in front of me. Thank you that we have it and can read it and can learn from you about who you are. It is a blessing and one that I do not intend to take for granted. So I thank you for that, Lord. Amen. So, John chapter 18. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went out with his disciples across the brook Kidron, where there was a garden, which he and his disciples entered. Now Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, for Jesus often met there with his disciples. So Judas, having procured a band of soldiers and some officers from the chief priests and the Pharisees, went there with lanterns and torches and weapons. And Jesus, knowing all that would happen to him, came forward and said to them, "Whom do you seek?" They answered him, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said to them, "I am he." Judas, who betrayed him, was standing with them. When Jesus said to them, "I am he," they drew back and fell to the ground. So he asked them again, "Whom do you seek?" And they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus answered, "I told you that I am he. So, if you seek me, let these men go." This was to fulfill the word that he had spoken. "Of those whom you gave me, I have not lost one." Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant and cut off his ear. The servant's name was Malchus. So Jesus said to Peter, "Put your sword into its sheath. Shall I not drink the cup that the Father has given me?" So the band of soldiers and their captain and the officers of the Jews arrested Jesus and bound him. First they led him to Annas, who was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year. It was Caiaphas who had advised the Jews that it would be expedient that one man should die for the people. Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. Since that disciple was known to the high priest, he entered with Jesus into the courtyard of the high priest. But Peter stood outside the door. So the other disciple, who was known to the high priest, went out and spoke to the servant girl who kept watch at the door and brought Peter in. The servant girl at the door said to Peter, "You also are not one of this man's disciples, are you?" He said, "I am not." Now the servants and officers had made a charcoal fire because it was cold, and they were standing and warming themselves. Peter also was with them, standing and warming himself. The high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered, "I have spoken openly to the world. I have always taught in synagogues and in the temple, where all Jews come together. I have said nothing in secret. Why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me what I said to them. They know what I said." When he had said these things, one of the officers standing by struck Jesus with his hand, saying, "Is that how you answer the high priest?" Jesus answered him, "If what I said is wrong, bear witness about the wrong. But if what I said is right, why do you strike me?" Annas then sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself, so they said to him, "You also are not one of his disciples, are you?" He denied it and said, "I am not." One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?" Peter again denied it, and at once a rooster crowed. Then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. It was early morning. They themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters, so that they would not be defiled, but could eat the Passover. So Pilate went outside to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered him, "If this man were not doing evil, we would not have delivered him over to you." Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." The Jews said to him, "It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death." This was to fulfill the word that Jesus had spoken to show by what kind of death he was going to die. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered him, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting, that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from the world." Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, "I find no guilt in him. But you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. So, do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews?" They cried out again, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Now, Barabbas was a robber. So, we see in this chapter Jesus' arrest. Kind of interesting story. Not a lot to dive into. Other, I think, than verse 6. They come to the garden, all this company of officers and soldiers. And Jesus asks them, "Who are you looking for?" And they say, "Jesus. We're looking for Jesus of Nazareth." And Jesus tells them, "I am he." And verse 6 says, when Jesus said to them, "I am he," they all drew back and fell to the ground. That is interesting to me. Like, why? Was it just like that one statement of Jesus was somehow enough for these soldiers to realize who they were dealing with? The majesty, perhaps, of the Son of God. Was that one statement enough to get them second-guessing themselves? I'm not really sure. I would have to ask one of them. But it's interesting. It's so interesting. Jesus then has to go on and say, encourage them. Right? "I told you that I am he." It says Jesus asked them again, who are you looking for? And they once again say, "We're looking for Jesus." Jesus says, "Yeah, I told you I'm him. So take me, let the rest of these men go." So interesting. And then Peter cuts off someone's ear. In some of the other Gospels, it remarks how Jesus healed that man's ear. It doesn't in this one. In this one, he just doesn't have an ear anymore. Very sad. We see in this passage, and through that conversation that Jesus had with his disciples in the passages before, Jesus's willingness to do this. We see that this is the plan. This is the plan that the Father had set out. This is the reason that Jesus came into the world. And he is submitting himself to that. He is submitting himself to the Father's plan. So after, Peter cuts off the guy's ear, Jesus says, "Put your sword away. Should I not drink of this cup that the Father has given me?" He is completely surrendered to the will of the Father here. It doesn't show the prayer that Jesus had in the garden before these soldiers came in this gospel. But that prayer is one of my favorite Jesus moments. You get this story of Jesus in the garden, and he has his disciples there, and he kind of separates himself from them, tells them to sit there and pray because his spirit is troubled. And then he goes away a little bit and starts praying to the Father. And in that prayer, it beautifully highlights Jesus' obedience to this plan. I'm trying to think of the words that he said. Not my will, but your will be done. He prays, if there's any other way, Father, that this cup may pass from me, can we look at that? Nonetheless, not what I want, but what you want. That is what I will do. I think that's just a beautiful example of obedience. Obedience to God, obedience to his plan. And it's one that we can all work towards, I think. It's one that I can work towards, at the very least. It's one that I want to work towards. I want to be able to submit myself to God like that. To sacrifice my own will, my own wants and desires, and say, no, Lord, I'm going to lay all that down. I want what you want. And I want to do what you want me to do. It's just beautiful. We also see in this the Peter's denial of Jesus 3 times, just like Jesus said. It's almost like Jesus knows what's going to happen. The way that the Pharisees go about this is so odd to me. Like, this is an absolute sham of legal proceedings. They pull Jesus and they start asking him questions, and Jesus answers them. Guys, the answers to these questions are not that hard to figure out. I haven't been teaching secretly. I've been teaching the world all these things. Why do you have to ask me these questions? Right? And then they take Jesus to Pilate. And Pilate, they don't even go to Pilate, right? They go outside of Pilate's house because they didn't want to, defile themselves by going into Pilate's house before the Passover. Understandable enough, I guess. But they go to Pilate, and Pilate says, guys, what accusation are you bringing against him? And they just say, if he wasn't evil, we wouldn't have brought him to you. Like, what? No accusation, just this bold proclamation that, yes, this man's evil and he deserves death. So Pilate goes and says to them, take him yourself. I don't want to deal with this. You guys go and judge him according to your own law. And they make it clear right there, we don't want to do that. Because our goal here is for this man to die. And it's against our laws to put anyone to death. Man, at that point, I would have walked away. Like, I'm not dealing with these fools anymore. But Pilate has, responsibilities or something, I guess. So he takes Jesus, and then Pilate starts questioning Jesus. And that conversation is really interesting. Pilate asks him, are you the king of the Jews? And Jesus says, did you say that? Is this something that you think, or do other people think it? And then Jesus goes on to talk about this kingdom. Verse 36, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting, that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom, it's not of this world. The kingdom that Jesus is the king of looks so vastly different from anything else that Pilate would have understood, that we can understand. I won't dive too deep into that, You'll have to read like the rest of the Gospels, the rest of this Gospel. Jesus talks a lot about this kingdom of heaven. So yeah, if you want to deep dive into that, go for it. But Jesus goes on. You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice. Jesus just lays out there. This was the point of my earthly ministry here. This was the purpose of all those teachings that I have done, of all the things I have said, of all the things I have taught, to bear witness about what is true, about the Father, about his love and his power, and about his plan to bring his kingdom to earth. And Pilate walks away from this conversation, says, I see no guilt in this man. I see no cause to put him to death. Like, what are you guys going on about? Come on. He's an interesting dude, I guess, but there's no reason to kill him. So he goes back to the Pharisees, to the people. It says, yeah, so we have this custom here during the Passover feast that I will release to you a prisoner. Do you want me then to release this man for you? And they say, no. No. Again, that would ruin our plan. We want him to die. No. Don't release him. Give us Barabbas. So they release Barabbas instead of Jesus. John here at the very end of this chapter just gives us this note. Barabbas was a robber, a thief, somebody who stole things. Yeah. And they said, nah, give us Barabbas. We want this man, Jesus of Nazareth, to die. Feels entirely shameful. But yeah, that's John chapter 18. I am recording this video after I recorded the video for John chapter 19. I played with my good friend Dark for the Brethren. And we went over John chapter 19. John 19 is the crucifixion of Jesus. And we two-maned Grandmaster Nightfall and talked about this. That is an hour-plus long video. I don't remember exactly how long it is. I could probably look at it. It is right around an hour. It's this one. Oh, it's not that one. Dadgummit, did I delete it? No, I just renamed it. Okay, I found it. That video is an hour and 4 minutes long. So, be prepared for that one to drop. If you like watching these, be prepared for that one to take a little bit of time. We dived deep into John 19 while playing some video games, mostly pretty well. So, I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys will enjoy that one. As always, peace be with you, and may the Lord bless you. Bye now.